in polluted times, where people's cultures have been diluted and heritage is lost. Ngiyalamukela kumthombo wolwazi TV. My name is Patience Sibani.
Welcome learners. Last week we looked at the definition of heritage and the prospects for A-level learners. This week we'll take a look at the syllabus and just give a brief overview of what it entails. First, we're going to look at the objectives. I'll read through some of the objectives and then we'll go on to the specific areas. Firstly, we are supposed to identify the norms and values appropriate to responsible behavior. Secondly, describe the significance of natural and cultural heritage sites. Thirdly, demonstrate skills and knowledge gained to improve the quality of life of individuals, families, and communities. Fourthly, explain the significance of the liberation struggle and its benefits. Next, articulate the fundamental rights and freedoms enshrined in the Zimbabwean Constitution. Next, explain concepts and issues relating to heritage studies, gender, vulnerable groups, human rights, and responsibilities. We will also have to look at and examine various ways of managing the national environment for sustainable development. We will also be required to analyze the importance of cultural and creative arts industries, explain Zimbabwe's relations with the global society, and also explain the role and significance of spiritual heritage on land. Our scope and sequence. The basic topics are, firstly, understanding heritage and culture. Secondly, the culture, norms, values, and socialization. Thirdly, African civilization and identities. Fourthly, natural heritage in Zimbabwe. Fifthly, cultural heritage in Zimbabwe. Sixth, cultural and creative industries. Number 7, constitutionalism. Number 8, land and liberation heritage. Number 9, heritage and global issues. Now we're going to look at the specific topics. You must remember that this is a 2-year course and we will need to start from the lower 6, the first year, and then we'll move on to the second year. During the first year, you are supposed to have an appreciation of heritage. Therefore, you need to look at the introduction to heritage, the theories of culture, types of heritage, values and significance of heritage, meaning basically the importance of heritage to society. Then, you are also required now to look at the culture. By culture, we basically look at norms, values, and socialization, meaning that we will need to look specifically at how the norms and values in Zimbabwe constitute what we call culture. And then when we look at socialization, basically we're looking at the relationship now that takes place amongst a community, amongst society, amongst people. And then we will need also to look at the types and approaches of socialization, significance of socialization, and then also take a look at socialization within the global context. Having done that, then our syllabus requires us to look at African civilization and identities. Basically, in this context, we will again look at heritage and identities, pre-colonial African civilization, colonial and post-colonial civilization. Then, most importantly, we'll then look at natural heritage in Zimbabwe. When we look at natural heritage, basically we are looking at those things that have been bequeathed to us by nature. So, in this light, we have natural heritage, significance of natural heritage, impact of colonialism on natural heritage, because, mind you, colonialism had an impact on our heritage. Some of the things that we regarded as natural heritage were actually, in a way, taken over or despoiled or given colonial names. Like, for instance, here we are talking about the Victoria Falls, for instance. It's a natural phenomenon, and it was actually given the name Victoria Falls, but our history tells us that the Tonga named that place Mosuya Tunya, basically meaning the smoke that thunders. From there, we'll look at cultural heritage. Cultural heritage comes in the sequence of various types of cultural heritage. So you need to know your cultural heritage, you need to know the importance of cultural heritage, we need to know the indigenous knowledge systems. Here we are talking about the wisdom and knowledge that our forefathers had, the knowledge that made them survive before colonialism. After that, learners will be required to look at management and preservation of cultural heritage. Because remember, we said heritage has to be preserved for future generations. So in this context, there's a need for that culture to be maintained, culture to be preserved. So there's a need for ways to be found on how to manage and preserve the cultural heritage.
Badala i-4K swipe here, siyathola khona. All right.
Mina uqina qinisile ukuthi qinisile uqina. Akugcina zibizibi qinisile.
For audiobooks, iyanqo kwaDingani Bookshop and Stationery, bringing literature closer to the community.
ICMF is more than an internationally recognized coach certification organization, with its head office in Harare, Zimbabwe. For more details, visit our website at intercoachingmentoring.org, email us at info@intercoachingmentoring.org. Feel free to call us anytime. Do you want your organization to grow? Then register your managers and staff for coaching and mentoring with us today.
Having done that, then you are also going to be required to look at cultural and creative industries in heritage. Now, in that area, it's an important area as well, because we are looking basically at how, in a way, our ancestors in the past managed to have various industries, which are not like the industries that we have, the modern ones. Like, for instance, we know that they did weaving, they did craft work, they did masonry, like at Great Zimbabwe. So that is a part of the techniques or knowledge that they had. So this area needs to be looked at significantly. Then we have land and liberation heritage. I'm sure we need to not emphasize too much the significance of land and the significance of liberation, especially looking at our colonial past. So in this regard, we are required to look at land as a heritage in itself, land alienation, restoration, international relations, how they've been affected by the restoration of land to the Africans, the liberation heritage itself, what liberation means, and what liberation heritage is. Meaning basically that, like, also look at elements like patriotism, nationalism, and the significance of having identity, African identities, or Ubuntu. Then there will be a significant departure. We will also need to look at constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is very significant because the laws themselves, they are so important because they impact on how people are supposed to protect their heritage. So we will look at constitution and constitutionalism. We'll look at pre-colonial African constitutionalism. We'll also look at basic tenets, important tenets of the Bill of Rights, gender, and vulnerable groups. Finally, heritage and global issues will also be very, very important. And here, we'll need to look at the various laws that are international laws that have been enacted to protect heritage. I know that, like, you might be aware that we have what are called UNESCO heritage sites. And like I've indicated, we have the Victoria Falls, we have the Matopos as well, which are regarded as World Heritage sites. So it will be important for us to be able to look at those heritages and then understand and appreciate heritage and natural disasters, disaster risk management, because those areas can be affected by various disasters, digital heritage. which is simply the use of technology to protect that heritage that we have. Cultural terrorism, terrorism that actually affects our cultures. And then we also look at sustainable development. What sustainable development is, when we are saying we are developing an area, or we are protecting the heritage, or we are looking at areas like things like campfire. What are we saying? What are we saying about tourism? What are we saying about the future of developing the areas that have been bequeathed to us for sustainable development? And then finally, we'll look also at cultural diplomacy. Learners, it has been good to interact with you. We hope that you take time to also be with us next week when we look at other areas, especially when we start looking at the syllabus in detail. We thank you.
Thank you, learners, for watching this episode. It is our hope that we met your expectations. Meet us again next week, same time, same place on Umtombolazi TV. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Instagram account, Facebook account, and Twitter. Thank you. Welcome to Padandaro Guest House Lodge. At Padandaro, we offer the following services: intimate weddings, catering services, venues for photo shoots, and conference rooms and accommodation for school workshops. Padandaro Guest House, where the heart is.
Umtombolazi TV.
The power of information.